Hello, my name is Jauza Akbar Krito, and you can call me Jauza. I am undergraduate student at Physics Department, Universitas Gadjah Mada. Currently, I am living on Yogyakarta regarding to my university position. But I came from Berau County or Regency. Is Kalimantan Province, is Borneo Island. And now, I would like to express and explain my opinion in the four UIF question, University Innovation Fellowship question. First question is, what problem in the world are you most passionate about solving? There's two things. Education, with specifically solution about equality education, and poverty, with specifically solution about people empowerment. Why equality education? Equality education means that the quality on the city, big city, capital region, working as same and as best as possible on county, village, or on region that far from the capital city too. Like in Indonesia, there is an education gap between Java Island and other islands. Not only that, even in small example, like the capital city on the province and their county, their village has a different quality of education. And not only that, sometimes we facing a different of teacher quality and their material subject, different school building or infrastructure quality. Equality education also means that every person, every learner has the same right of opportunity to learn, opportunity of having a best education, best teacher or lecturer, so that there is no difference on education quality between anything. Every people has an equal best education quality. And the second, why poverty? Because sometimes poverty is not always lack of money, but also lack of opportunity. Sometimes it's also about kind of bad mindset, environment, like how we think about our condition, an excuse. I believe with Indonesian spirit, called gotong royong, or in English term is mutual cooperation, we can solve collective poverty by people empowerment. And together, education and people empowerment is a weapon to fight poverty. The second question, if you could redesign the way your school educates you and your fellow students, what would that look like? There is a several things. The freedom to think, the freedom to asking a question, learn by doing, and practice makes perfect. Conceptual theory, education based on their need, character building, and Tutburi Handayani. I will explain about it. The freedom to think and asking a question. I believe it was the right of every people, especially for the learner, to ask a question and demand the answer. Instead of answering like, it's not time to ask a question right now. You don't know anything yet. Which is sometimes it's what's right to tell. Why we cannot say or tell them the simplest answer as possible and give them the reference. And some of specific reference will be provided and closing it with, but if you want to learn more about that, you can read it or watch it first about this, or this. So not only we just answer, but hopefully we engage the learner to learn more. Furthermore, I would like to talk about conceptual theory and learn by doing. Sometimes, not every subject has an experimental aspect. Therefore, it takes a strong thinking power which unfortunately often teacher or lecturer I noticed in some cases. Often, a child who is enthusiastically asked a question, why positive 2 times positive 2 is positive 4, or positive 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, or why negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Why is that? But sadly enough, sometimes the teacher only answer, it's just like that. That's how it was from the beginning. Just learn about it, just accept it. And much similar answer like that. And it is that kind of answer will reduce the enthusiasm and interested in learning for the learner. In theoretical based learning, which should be emphasis is logic or logical reasoning, because it often only just to memorize and repeat it without understand the meaning behind it. And this is what I want to change in aspect of theoretical based learning, that teacher should teach learners how we think logically and logical reasoning, so that the people will no longer be triggered by hoaxes or fraud. And for the subject that have experimental aspect, of course, the best thing if it can be directly simulated or practiced by learner. Learn by doing and keep practice to making it perfect understanding. To understand about what I said about is like this. If we want to understand Schrödinger equation, it's not by experimenting on it, right? Correct me if I wrong that it's not experimented on how Schrödinger equation works. There will be no experiment about it, except maybe thinking experiment, perhaps. But thinking experiment was also about logical reasoning. So yeah, we can understand about it if we understand, for example, might behind the equation. What Mr. Schrödinger think at the time, or what the problem at the time the question come in, etc., etc., etc. Next, if we want to understand about, for example, chemical reaction, water vapor, programming language, we have to do an experiment about it, right? We have to do some practice to know about it more, to understand it more. Next, education based on their need, character building, and Indonesian education philosophy called Tun Wuri Handayani is the idea that education should contain mandatory subject like character building and fundamental science aspect of our life, both natural or social science, like fundamental of physics, math, economy, sociology. After that, it's up to the learner want to master either subject C or he like, or want or need to type. But there is also a special condition, such as a learner who living in the city has to learn about city economic development, and learner who living in the village has to learn about village economic development. And because everyone has the same rank of opportunity, the learner can also take village economic development as an elective study, and vice versa. For the learner in the village can also take city economic development as their elective study, because it will be more fair. for them if they want to develop their area. Because not every learner who living in the city understand or even imagine about living in the village, and vice versa for learners who living in the village. Another example about this like ICT subject, Information and Communication Technology subject. For most learners in Indonesia, it has been to known that only the learner from city has this kind of privilege in proper way, because almost of them can provide a PC, personal computer or laptop and internet connection. The city has a good connection, internet connection, while in village it was the precious thing. But by this proposal, I believe that the school can facilitate this, and learner from village can learn ICT subject as an elective study, not mandatory until it was. In Indonesia, what often happens is learners learn theory, and most of it only to memorize many things, not to understand. Skill set that young learners have in this way should be a critical thinking, complex and moderate problem solver. But unfortunately, it becomes weak or less useful because it only emphasizes memorization and for facing exam. So, I believe that we want to go to school, we want to go to university, it's because the joy of learning, not because there are a pressure to looking forward for a job. It's not wrong to get the degree because we're looking for a job, but sometimes it's creating a focus on competitive situation to get in university rather than knowing why we go to university. What I mean is, for example, we go to physics department because we love to learn about physics, because we have a joy to learning about physics or any related. Or if you're curious about it, it's okay. So that we can create an environment with good thinker, physicists. That should be the goal of education. And by the what I described here, I believe that skill set of learner was critical thinking, analytical thinking, complex problem solver, and have a technical skill like technology use, monitoring, control, design, and programming, as stated by World Economic Forum for top 10 skills in 2025. The question number 3, the third question. Describe your best and your worst experience working on team. We're looking for two examples. Okay. My best experience is when I and my team can deliver a result as best as possible, or if not as best as expected, we can do it together as a team with good communication. I believe the good communication is the one of important key if we working on team, because sometimes it was also the worst experience. Sometimes we are not same on fire, not always same of spirit to do a teamwork, or even not have a same personal goal on teamwork. Like not everyone will take teamwork as serious as possible, or there is an internal conflict. In example, or we have all that kind good, like we are same on fire, same spirit, same goal, but there's a problem with the internet or lack of credit to call or anything making hard to reach team member. Okay. In example, my best experience is while I and my friend managed to creating a project called BBI, or Basa-basi ilmiah, or in English term, scientific chit-chat. It is the platform to make science easy explainable as possible. We always has a good communication when we do it, We discuss if we need something. We talking about what we needed or not. We discuss if there is something we have to agree or disagree. Then we looking for solution or a way to resolve or making on it. For the worst experience example, it look like when we have a communication disturbance, so that there will be a person, or in worse, everyone on team not understand what their task is, or what information they understand like not coming in discussion, so the person will lack information, or not to tell that the team if the person has a personal circumstance, so that the person abandon the task or working on it but lately, or working on it but not as expected. The most of this problem caused by sometimes by miscommunication or not understand about their role or their task, and not to ask or communicate to the team to make it clear, so that the rest of members must to cover his or her work or starting the task from beginning again. What I mean, sometimes it's okay if the team member cannot 100% on what we working on, 100% present, but tell me or tell the team what happened, explain to us your condition, explain to us the condition that she or he face it, so that the rest of the team has better understanding and can make some of backup, or we can mitigate the risks, or we can calculate on how we finish to work. The strategies, most of it happen when I am at school, or even when I'm at university, when we face a team assignment from the lecturer. But like I stated before, the one of important thing is good communication. So sometimes we can resolve the worst part so that we can still deliver a result, even not as best as expected, but we still has a result. It's at least better than nothing, right? Overall, sometimes the worst experience can be the good experience because we can learn something on it. I mean, what I want to say is, for any experience, I will always learn something, either it's best or worse. For example, from worst experience, I know how to mitigate or fix if there is a person not in a good communication. So that we don't know how his status, I learn about the strategy to make sure everyone is same goal, same on fire, and from best experience, I know how to deliver a good combination to almost anyone. I know how to deliver as best as possible as expected. The fourth question, the last question. Tell us anything you want. What do you think we should know about you? Tell you anything I want and what I think you should know about me. For first, thanks for this opportunity to explain and describe more about me. Nah, what am I? What will I want to tell you more about me? I am only a man from the village who want to be the first Indonesian Nobel laureate, especially in physics. I am a man with dream and ambition. And that's why I applied on this University Innovation Fellowship. I want to make a way to go to Stanford because I really want it, and it's only the way I can go to Stanford and creating the impact for our world. On the base of my heart, what I really wanted is whatever I do, it is for the sake for our civilization. Let me tell you a little about my life. Like I stated at the beginning, I'm a physics student, so of course I learned about physics. And now I also joined Bangkit Programme student at Cloud Computing learning path because I'm also tech enthusiast. At certain moment, usually I apply for laboratory assistant position and do some of personal and team project like working on personal website, writing of my personal future book. Yeah, sometimes I can describe me as the writer, but not published it yet. And I like to reading a much topic. For the project, I have several projects like team project segment or non-degree education, like bootcamp. That I created, we, the team, created the platform to talk about any scientific course in easy way. Create a platform for undergraduate student to ask and answer a question. Yeah, it was like a Quora, but for undergraduate student. And then there is also BBI team project or bahasa ilmiah, or like I said that scientific chit chat, the platform to talk about any scientific course in easy way. And then sometimes I and my friend working together on programming, like working together on quantum computing. Yeah, because I'm tech enthusiast. Also, it was the minor physics course. I was also work on national level organization called IHMAFI or Ikatan Himpunan Mahasiswa Fisika Indonesia. Maybe in English term, this was Indonesian Confederation of Physics Student Association as Minister of Research and Technology, with an objective to direct the research among undergraduate students. Especially for me, I do an internal reformation to equality research between the physics undergraduate student. In the long holiday, and while I go back to my hometown in Berau Regency, sometimes I do help my mother to producing batik. So yeah, I do a batik art. Overall, what I want to say is, it was also my proof of my adaptability to learn. But for physics, of course, I pursue it for the joy. I pursue science for the joy. So, it is my last statement. Let's reconnect each other. Let's meet each other. And together, let's be creating an impact not only for my country, not only for our country, but also for our world, our civilization. With my acceptance to this program, to this University Innovation Fellowship by Stanford Program, it could be the first step to bringing our world into civilization level 1 or first civilization based on Kardashev scale. That's all what I can say. Thank you for your attention. See you when the program is started. And let's work together to create an impact for this world. See you.